So a question that's been asked a lot is, which ending of Security Breach is canon? The community has largely agreed on which ending is canon, however there are some who don't agree with the general consensus. And since Ruin is right around the corner, I've decided to look into the endings to see if the community got it right, or if there was something that was missed. So let's stop wasting time and get right into the video. With there being 6 endings in Security Breach, it won't be easy to figure out which one is canon. However, we can use the Ruin trailer to help rule some of the endings out. In the trailer, the Pizzaplex is in shambles, and it even seems to be abandoned by the time Ruin happens, since we can see some graffiti on the wall in this frame here. Now, there are only 2 endings that have something we see happen in them, where the Pizzaplex could suffer that level of damage. The first is the Fire Escape ending, where Freddy decides to set fire to the Pizzaplex. The state of the Pizzaplex in Ruin could be from fire damage. We don't see how far the fire spreads to, so we don't know if it spread throughout the whole building. It's unlikely that it did, but it's not impossible either. The other ending is the Burn Trap ending, where Gregory decides to stay after 6 AM, decommissions the remaining animatronic that's left, and finds an old elevator in the construction area under Roxy Raceway. Gregory and Freddy go down the elevator and find the FNAF 6 pizza place down there, where they encounter the Blob and Burn Trap below it. They face off against Burn Trap and the other Glamrocks that are just magically there for some reason, and after burning him enough times, the Blob snatches Burn Trap away. Freddy and Gregory run back in the direction of the elevator while their surroundings are crumbling around them. If this ending was canon, then that would explain the state of the Pizzaplex in Ruin. Seeing how it's likely that the area underneath the Pizzaplex coming down would probably cause parts of the Pizzaplex to come down as well. Most of the community has come to the belief that the Burn Trap ending is canon. The reason people give for this is that the ending cutscene is fully animated as opposed to the other endings which are in a comic book style. Granted, the cutscene is only like 20 seconds, but it's still the only fully animated end cutscene. So that's something to consider. Another reason people give is that this ending requires the most amount of work from the player to achieve, with you having to stay past 6 AM and decommission either Chica or Monty, then finding the door in Roxy Raceway that leads down to the elevator that takes you to the pizza place. Now, those are valid reasons to assume that this ending is canon, but there's something that's always bothered me about the Burn Trap ending possibly being the canon one. If this ending was canon, then why do we only get 2 stars for it? In every single FNAF game where there are starred endings, the ending with the most amount of stars has always been the canon one. Examples being, in FNAF 1 and 2, the 3-star ending is you tampering with the animatronics on night 7. In FNAF 3, beating Nightmare Mode gets you 3 stars and the newspaper about the building burning down. And in Sister Location, you get 4 stars for finishing Custom Night and getting Michael's monologue. The only exception to this is FNAF 4, since you get 4 stars after you beat 420 mode, and there's no extra lore after. So again, why would it only be worth 2 stars? Once I started asking these questions, I decided to turn my attention to the only ending in the game that gives you 3 stars. I am of course talking about the Princess Quest ending. In the ending, Freddy gets disassembled by the staff bots in Phaser Blast. Vanny drops her mask, and Gregory leaves with her and takes Freddy's head with him. Keep those details in mind. Now let's take a look at the trailer for Ruin. In the trailer, we can see a broken version of Freddy. We can tell this is Freddy from the color of the bottom of his legs. But look at where this is. It's hard to see, but if you look at the walls in the background, you can see that they're the same as the ones in Phaser Blast. Notice the patterns are identical. Also, there's the fact that all of Freddy's body is visible except for his head, which I find very suspicious considering that in the Princess Quest ending, Freddy has his head removed. So we have a rundown version of Freddy, just like in the Princess Quest ending, whose head is suspiciously hidden in the trailer, probably to hide the fact that his head is gone. Also, at the very end of the trailer, we can see Cassie put on a Vanny mask, something that is conveniently left on the floor in the Princess Quest ending. Something to note is that we can see that this is actually the mask from Help Wanted, based on the fact that this mask has a little tuft of hair, while Vanny's mask in Security Breach doesn't. This does make a dent in this point, however it could be explained by designs of things randomly changing. Look at the Blob for example. Logically, the Blob should just be a bigger version of Molten Freddy. However, none of the Pizzeria Simulator animatronics are in the Blob, at least not the ones we see in that game. There's really no good reason for why those details were changed, and this whole thing about designs randomly changing isn't just exclusive to Security Breach. Just take a look at Springtrap versus Scraptrap for example. There's no good explanation for this, like why does he have this weird chin now? But that's besides the point. Designs of things have always changed across the FNAF games. Now, let's talk about the Burn Trap ending. Before taking the elevator down, Freddy says that the elevator might only survive for one more trip. So unless Freddy was just wrong, both of them should be stuck down there. This little scene after the credits seems to contradict this, however I don't think that what we see here is literally what's happening. I mean, think about it. If they were able to take the elevator back up and leave, then why would they come back to the Pizzaplex later? In the loading dock ending, Gregory and Freddy presumably never return to the Pizzaplex, given the fact that Monty replaces Freddy. Maybe they could have come back to try to do something about Burn Trap, but it isn't clear if they saw what happened to him or not. They probably didn't, but why would they assume that he got out of the pizza place, considering that everything was crumbling around them as they were running to the elevator? Also, why hasn't Freddy's power been drained yet in this ending? He should only be able to be powered for an hour before he needs to recharge. And it's not like the loading dock ending where there's an obvious way that Freddy's power can be recharged that's shown. And if everyone was after the Burn Trap ending, why would Gregory not be with Freddy? All that is under the assumption that they were able to use the elevator again. But if they weren't, and they got stuck down there, then I don't think this ending can be canon. To explain why, let's look at the Ruin trailer again. Back to where we see Glamrock Freddy. We know that this area is in Phasor, meaning canonically in Ruin, we at some point find Freddy in Phasor. But the thing is, if we see Glamrock Freddy in Phasor, then I would say it proves that the Burn Trap ending can't be canon just from that, assuming Gregory and Freddy got stuck underground. So if they're stuck underground, how is Freddy in Phasor? The answer to me is just that the Burn Trap ending isn't canon like most people have believed. So yeah, now I'm of the belief that the Princess Quest ending is canon. Now a problem might come up with this interpretation because Vanny is freed in this ending, and given the fact that she's practically non-existent in the main game, people would reasonably want to see her in the DLC. I'm not really sure where I stand on this. Yeah, it would be nice to have Vanny relevant to the plot again, but in like half the endings, Vanny is dealt with in some way. So the story might just drop her, honestly. Maybe that's why Vanny has yet to appear in any of the Tales books. You'd think with her meant to be one of the main antagonists, she'd show up at least once in those books. This could change with the newest book, but we'll just have to wait and see. I just feel like Vanny got the short end of the stick since Security Breach had to change a lot of things before its release. Something else that might get brought up is that you don't need to decommission all of the animatronics to get the Princess Quest ending, and clearly all of them are shattered in ruin. If you went to Phasor first and found Vanny's hideout, then the option for the Vanny ending would be available, so I thought that this would disprove the theory. But then I realized that it actually doesn't. The Princess Quest ending canonically should happen after all the animatronics get destroyed. During the cutscene where Freddy gets disassembled, we can see that he has Monty's claw upgrades. That right there proves that all of the Glamrocks should be destroyed in this ending, because we can only get the Princess Quest ending after going to Phasor and shattering Chica, meaning that Monty can't be shattered until 6 AM when you get another party pass. So if Monty isn't shattered, then Freddy can't have the claw upgrades. Now as for Gregory and Ruin, I think that the Gregory talking in the trailer is 100% not the real Gregory. See, in the main game, Gregory shows a shocking amount of bravery as well as being kind of annoyed by everything, telling Freddy to shut up,
Shh, will you shut up?
getting irritated about all the security,
Locked again? Why does a pizza place need so much security?
getting annoyed at Freddy for talking loudly.
Isn't there some other way for you to communicate with me besides talking so loudly?
He's constantly forced to be alone, and he's always able to push through any challenge, really. This is really shown during the second half of the game. Gregory is able to go against the other Glamrocks head-on, i.e. pushing Chica into the trash compactor, running Roxy over in Roxy Raceway, and facing Monty on the catwalk. He goes face to face with them, once again alone. Yeah, there are moments where he's scared, but he always gets through any obstacle he faces, even when Freddy got kidnapped by Moon outside of Parts and Service. So if Gregory's character is this kid who can be a little scared at times, but also be really brave, then why does he seem so different in the trailer? In the trailer, he says things like,
Save me, Cassie, please. It's so dark down here.
why is he all of a sudden acting like he's helpless to do anything? And it's not just what he's saying, it's his tone that's getting to me. Like, come on, that's not how he acts. To me, this seems like it's Glitchtrap trying to lure Cassie in, maybe to kill her or maybe to mind hack her. Now, there's something I haven't really addressed with this interpretation, and that is, if the Princess Quest ending is canon, then why is the Pizzaplex in shambles? Well, in the game, there's a duffel bag message of an employee talking about how they think the building is on top of a sinkhole. I think it's entirely possible that the building could have collapsed regardless of what happens in Security Breach, and in the Burn Trap ending, the fire just accelerates the process. Something I want to bring up is, I don't think anyone has thought about what Burn Trap would have done if Freddy and Gregory didn't find him and stop him. There's no reason to assume that he wouldn't have come out of the charging station if nobody shows up. It's not like we let him out or anything, the door just happens to open the second we find him. So without Gregory going down there and burning him, he would just walk on out of the charging station and essentially do whatever he wants. For all we know, maybe Burn Trap tries to take over the blob, then the blob attacks in the exact same way as in the ending. One thing I've seen that's been brought up recently is that in the Switch port, the Burn Trap ending is labeled as True Ending Burn Trap. I'm not sure if this is true or not because I could not for the life of me find a source, but if it is, then it seems weird that a thing as big as the canon ending of the most recent game would just be confirmed so bluntly like that. A way it could work is if Gregory and Freddy were able to get back up to the Pizzaplex, then the Princess Quest ending could theoretically be after the Burntrap one. That might be a stretch, but it's not impossible. But yeah, to me, the Princess Quest ending is most likely the canon ending of Security Breach. I'm starting to run out of theory topics, so if you have any topics you would like me to discuss, leave a comment about it, and while you're at it, let me know what you think of this theory. I read all the comments, and I'm interested to see what you guys think. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and consider subscribing. With all that out of the way though, bye guys!